when you get into a fight, you need to take a stand. You cannot fight by being straight up. The reason is that you have no power and no stability. Think about it. If I ask you to throw a baseball, you're going to have to step back and throw it to have more power and more stability. You cannot really throw it as far if you're staying straight up. And also for defensive purpose, you want to hide your center line because this is the most vulnerable part of your body. So you have a choice. You can go either what we call conventional or southpaw. When you take a stance, you can have your legs more narrow or your legs wider. If you're more narrow, that gives you the ability to come out with your rear weapon, the punches and the kick, faster than if you would be wider. But if you're more narrow because you're taller, your mobility of moving in and out, side to side, will not be as good as if you are wider. If you're wider, you're lower, and therefore it will be easier for you to move. Now with Richard, I'm going to explain to you the difference from a distance perspective if you're fighting a guy in a close stance, which is lefty against lefty or righty against righty, or in an open stance, which is lefty against righty. From a close stance perspective, pay attention to the line of our feet. It creates a parallel line, which normally forces the fight more into a close counter combat. We are closer to each other. In an open stance, pay attention to the line of our feet. It creates a perpendicular line, which normally creates more distance from each other. We are a little bit further apart. It is crucial for you to understand that concept. One of the most important skills in fighting is the footwork, your ability of moving in and out of range, moving forward and backward. First, there is a famous cliche in fighting that says always keep your hands up, which is completely wrong. Don't keep your hands up if you're out of range, guys. Think about an American football player. When they change direction, they don't go like this. They keep their hands side to side because it helps them to have a better balance. It's the same thing in fighting. So if I'm out of range and I'm moving forward, I'm pushing off with the ball of my foot from my rear foot. And I'm trying to spend as less time as possible in the air. When I'm moving backward, I'm pushing off my lead foot. Moving forward with small hop, moving backward. Try to avoid this. A lot of guys, they do this, which is wrong because there is a time window which, if something happens, you will be cut off balance and you will not be able to counter your opponent. So make sure you always protect your center line. When you go forward, you push off your rear foot. When you move back, your lead foot. I'm going to show you an exercise that I've been working on through all my career, and that helped me to become champion. The goal of this exercise for me is to always keep my opponent at one step away from touching him. I don't want to be in a situation that I'm getting too close to him so he can punch me, or too far away that I'm not posing a threat to him. I always want to be here at one step away from touching him. Usain gonna dictate the pace. I'm gonna have to follow his pace by always keeping the same distance between him and I. So when he's gonna move forward, I'm gonna have to keep always the same distance. When he moves back, I have to cover the same distance always. Before he moves forward and back, there is a cue. His body shift a little bit forward. That indicate me before he step that he's coming forward towards me. When he moves away from me, I see his body shifting a little bit. That helped me predicting his movement. Sometimes I was able to use a good distance control efficiently, better than my opponent, not because I was faster than him, but I was able to see the cue of his movement before he even do it. Now I'm going to show you how it's done against an opponent in a close stance. With Richard, I'm going to show you an exercise that I've done throughout all my career with my coaches to improve my side-to-side movement. Richard is going to take an open stance. He's righty, I'm lefty. It is important for me to always keep my feet lined up with my opponent's feet. Therefore, my center line is lined up with his. I always want to keep my opponent at one step to touch him. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm too far, that I don't pose a threat to him. And I don't want to be in a situation where I'm too close, that I can be hit. So always keeping him at one step away. I also keep my hands down to have a good balance. It is okay because I'm out of range. So when Richard moves, I try to stay always in front of him. I never cross my legs. I always see that before he moves, there is a little tilt of his body. That helped me predict his movement. If you can identify those cues, that is crucial for you to predict your opponent movement. And if you can predict your opponent movement, that gives you a huge edge into a fight. Throughout all my career, people used to say, GSP is so fast. The way he gets in for his takedown, the way he controls the distance. It's not necessarily because I was faster than my opponent. It's because I was able to predict his movement before he did it. Now I'm going to show you how it's done in a close stance. Now I'm going to show you an exercise that I've done throughout all my career that helped me control the distance with my opponent, back and forth and side to side. Now we put it all together, guys. So he's saying he's going to take a stance. We will be in an open stance. It is important for me that I try to keep my feet lined up with his in all time in order to have my center line lined up with his. I always want to be at one step to touch him. I never want to be too close or too far either, or in an angle where I'm not in front of him. It is important for me to identify the cues that will help me predict his movement. So Hussein will move randomly, either front, back, side, or the other side, and I will have to keep up with him and follow him and stay in front of him in all time. Now I'm going to show you how it's done from a close stance perspective. Every time that I got hit and hurt in my career by a strike standing up, it's because I was immobile in the danger zone in front of my opponent. To avoid that damage, you have to move. A fighter that moves is a fighter that doesn't get hit. So I'm gonna show you a drill that will greatly improve your defensive skill. In this next drill, Richard will be in the middle, and I will be moving in a circular fashion around him. The only time that I'm allowed to step in is when he gives me the opportunity to attack with a jab cross. As soon as I'm done with my attack, I have to step outside of his range and keep moving. While I'm moving, I'm never allowed to be too close so he can hit me, or too far away so I'm not posing a threat to him. I'm the one dictating the pace of the movement. He just gives me the cue of when I have an opportunity to commit to an attack. I try to never cross my legs and to always be in movement. I never stay static in front of him. Remember, use all the tools that I taught you before for this drill. This drill is a great way to improve your defensive skill. Now I will teach you an exercise that will greatly help you improve your offense, reaction time, and decision-making time. This is similar to the previous exercise that we've done, but this time it is my training partner that decides of the timing, the pace, and the opportunity. Now for this next drill, I'm having Richard and his focus mitt in the middle. I always have to face him to make sure that my feet are lined up with his feet. I have to always stay in a safe distance at all time, at one step away to hit him. The only time that I'm allowed to step in is when Richard gives me the opportunity to go for a jab cross. I don't want to be too close, and I don't want to be too far away either, to not threat him. So I'm always trying to face Richard, and when the opportunity is given to me, I have to attack quickly and getting out of the danger zone. Because remember, every time that I'm in a position to strike, I can get hit as well. This drill is amazing to increase your offensive skill, reaction time, and decision-making time. I will always prefer to attack an opponent when I'm having an angle on him instead of when I'm facing him square. I will show you one way to do it. Now I'm going to demonstrate to you with Hussein how to put myself into a good attacking position. Now we are in an open stance because Hussein is righty and I'm lefty. My feet is lined up with his feet. My center line is lined up with his. What I want to do first is moving my head and my feet outside of his foot and outside of his lead hand. Now I'm having a clear path to him. From his perspective, on the other hand, it is very hard to attack me because he has to overturn. So the way I'm going to do it is by taking a little step outside of his foot and outside of his lead hand, and then I'm having a clear path to attack him. Once again, I move and I attack. And the good thing about this position is that once you start your attack, your opponent will be off balance. It's a great opportunity to cause a lot of damage. Now I'm going to show you how to use your footwork in a defensive manner to get out of your opponent's center line. So I'm with Usain in an open stance. My feet is lined up with his feet, my center line with his center line. Now you need to be aware of the cues. When I see that he's coming, I'm stepping my head and my foot outside of his foot and lead hand. Now I'm in a very good position to initiate an attack, and he's in a very bad one. Once again, when I see that he's coming, right away, I'm shifting to a different position. I don't want to stay to the same spot that I am because I'm going to become an easy target. I always try to step outside of his center line. So when I see the cue, I step outside and I put myself in a great position for a counterattack. The principle of getting outside of the center line of my opponent also apply when I'm the one initiating the attack. It's very crucial in order to not get hit off his counter. Now I'm with Usain in an open stance. And remember, when I go to attack my opponent, I also expose myself to get strike. So when I'm getting in, I'm going with a combo. It is very important for me to always take an angle on the side once I'm done. I try to always go outside of his center line, outside of his lead hand and lead foot. So when Usain try to counter strike me, I'm no longer there. So when I attack, I land my combo, then I always go outside of his center line. When he tried to answer, I'm no longer there. What you should never do is throw your attack and stay in front of him, because now you expose yourself to real danger. Now I'm going to show you how it's done with Richard and his equipment so I can go full power. So I'm always one step away to hit my opponent. And when I'm ready to initiate the attack, I will go and immediately after take an angle outside of his center line to not get countered. I believe that footwork and distance control is the most important thing in a fight because it allows you to control the pace and also only exchange on your terms. But when you're fighting in an octagon, you need to take in consideration that sometimes when your opponent is pressuring you, you cannot indefinitely go back because the wall of the fence will block you. So now we're gonna make a drill that combines everything that I taught you so far. Front, back movement, side to side movement, to also circle, and how to cut the angle when your opponent is pressuring you to the fence. For this drill, I'm gonna do it with Richard, and I'm gonna have to keep him at one step away to get hit. I never want to be too close or too far either. I have to take in consideration that sometimes when he's gonna pressure me, I'm gonna end up my back against the fence and I don't wanna get there. So I have to anticipate it. And when he pressure me, I have to take an angle and with a circular motion, regain the center of the octagon in order to have more space behind my back. So now Richard is moving randomly and I'm following him. It's very important I keep the same distance at all time. And when I feel that he's pressuring me I try to always move outside of his center line and regain the center of the octagon. So we're in an open stance. Richard is moving randomly. And I keep always the same distance. Never want to be too close or too far away from him. When he's putting pressure on me, and I know I'm about to get my back to the fence, I'm going into a circular motion outside of his lead hand and outside of his lead foot. Now I'm gonna show you this exercise, but from a close stance perspective. So Richard is moving in a random fashion. I'm keeping always the same distance between each other. And when he decides to charge me, I move in a circular fashion to regain the center of the octagon. I never want to move towards his power punch. When he decides to go, I move in a circular fashion to regain the center of the octagon. Always towards the outside of his lead hand and lead foot to avoid the power strike.